What if I told you that somewhere out there, hidden behind military fences or rolling through secret testing grounds, there are machines so insane they look like something pulled straight from a sci-fi movie? Imagine tanks that float like boats, planes that can hover in one spot, armored vehicles that run on spider-like legs, and weapon systems designed to change the entire battlefield with a single shot. These are not fantasies. These are real technologies created by some of the most powerful militaries in the world. And today, we're diving deep into the most insane military technologies and vehicles you've ever seen. Stay until the end, because the last one is so unbelievable that you will question if humanity should even be allowed to build such things. Let's begin with something that defies logic. Tanks that swim. Yes, there are armored tanks capable of floating and moving through water like boats. The Soviet Union was famous for this innovation during the Cold War. The PT-76 amphibious tank could roll straight into a river and paddle its way across while carrying a full crew. Imagine sitting inside tons of steel, not sinking, but sailing. It was both genius and terrifying at the same time. From floating tanks, let's jump to planes that shouldn't even fly the way they do. The Harrier jump jet. This aircraft doesn't need a runway. It can take off vertically, hover like a helicopter, then blast forward like a jet. During conflicts, it allowed pilots to launch from hidden areas, strike targets, and vanish before the enemy even realized what was happening. Watching it hover in the air feels unnatural, like a giant insect refusing to fall. Now picture a vehicle not with wheels or tracks, but with legs. DARPA, the American research agency, once experimented with a machine known as the Big Dog. Built for soldiers to carry gear across rough terrain, it looked like a robotic mule with 4 mechanical legs. It could walk, climb, and even recover its balance if pushed. The sound of its engine was eerie, almost like a beast breathing. Soldiers didn't just see it as a tool, they joked it felt alive. But what about vehicles that move faster than speed itself? Enter the SR-71 Blackbird, a spy plane so fast that no missile could ever catch it. It flew at over 3 times the speed of sound, higher than most anti-aircraft systems could even reach. Pilots described it as sitting on the edge of space, watching the Earth curve below. The Blackbird was so advanced that decades later, it still holds records no other plane has broken. On the ground, things get even stranger. Russia created a machine called the Tsar tank. It was massive, with 2 wheels taller than a house and a tiny tailwheel at the back. It looked ridiculous, almost like a giant bicycle of war. But when it rolled forward, it crushed everything in its path. Sadly for Russia, the design was unstable, and it tipped easily. It became a monster that was too strange to survive. Now, let's go under the sea. Submarines are already terrifying, but some push the limits of imagination. The Russian Typhoon-class submarine is the largest ever built, longer than 2 football fields, and carrying enough nuclear warheads to end the world several times over. When you see its size rising from the water, it feels less like a machine and more like a moving city. Inside, it had swimming pools and saunas for the crew, a deadly weapon disguised with luxury. From oceans to deserts, imagine a truck the size of a building. The American military uses the MRAP, a mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicle. Built with V-shaped hulls to deflect explosions, these trucks can survive blasts that would obliterate normal vehicles. Soldiers say riding inside feels like sitting in a moving fortress. Bullets sound like raindrops against its armor. But nothing screams insane like flying fortresses. The B-2 Spirit stealth bomber. It looks like a UFO, a black triangle slicing through the sky. Designed to be invisible to radar, It can slip into enemy territory undetected and drop weapons without anyone knowing it was ever there. Pilots say flying it feels like steering the future. It's one of the most expensive machines ever created, but also one of the most untouchable. Let's take a quick stop at weapons that don't even use bullets. Railguns. Instead of gunpowder, they use electromagnetic force to fire projectiles at speeds so fast they can rip through steel. The idea of a weapon that launches pure metal at hypersonic speed without explosives is both futuristic and frightening. It turns science fiction into science fact. Now let's mix speed, firepower, and absurdity. The Soviet Ekranoplan, also known as the Caspian Sea Monster. Half boat, half plane, it skimmed the surface of water using ground effect technology. It was enormous, carrying missiles while flying just a few meters above the waves. Radars couldn't spot it, making it a ghost of the sea. Watching it move felt like witnessing a spaceship trapped on the ocean's surface. And then, exoskeleton suits. Yes, like Iron Man, but real. Militaries have been developing powered suits that allow soldiers to carry heavy loads, run faster, and resist fatigue. Imagine a soldier lifting hundreds of pounds with ease, or sprinting while carrying gear that would normally crush him. It's not fantasy anymore. It's the next step in warfare. Speaking of fantasy, let's talk about lasers. Militaries around the world have tested laser weapons capable of burning drones out of the sky. They don't need ammo. They don't miss. They just focus beams of light and deliver destruction at the speed of physics itself. No explosions, no smoke, just silent precision. But let's go back to the bizarre. During World War II, the Germans experimented with the Landkreuzer P-1000 Ratte, a tank so massive it was basically a battleship on land. It would have weighed over 1,000 tons, with guns capable of destroying cities. Thankfully, it never went beyond drawings. Otherwise, the battlefield would have turned into a nightmare of steel giants. From unreal tanks to futuristic drones. Today, drones are not just tiny eyes in the sky. Some are the size of planes, capable of flying across continents without pilots. Others are small enough to fit in your pocket, sneaking into buildings to spy or attack. They are silent, invisible threats. Armies now fight wars without even being present. And then there's the Humvee's successor, the Oshkosh JLTV. It looks like something out of a video game, faster, stronger, and smarter than the Humvee, with digital systems that can jam enemy signals and armor that shrugs off blasts. Soldiers describe it as a mix between a tank and a sports car. For insane experiments, few match the Nazi V-2 rocket. It was the first long-range guided ballistic missile, striking targets hundreds of miles away. The terrifying part? The V-2 inspired the technology behind modern space travel. A weapon became the father of rockets that now explore the stars. Closer to the ground, we find armored trains. Imagine a train loaded with cannons, machine guns, and armor thick enough to resist airstrikes. They roamed during wars, mobile fortresses on tracks, terrifying enemies who never knew where they'd appear. But one of the strangest machines ever built was the German Kugelpanzer, or ball tank, a spherical armored vehicle that rolled on tracks inside its body. It looked like something out of a comic book. Nobody really knows what it was meant for. It remains one of the weirdest mysteries of military engineering. And finally, the most insane creation of them all: nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, floating cities of war. They can sail for decades without refueling, carrying thousands of soldiers, dozens of aircraft, and enough firepower to control entire oceans. Standing on the deck feels like being on a moving island. A single carrier can project power across the planet. It's not just a ship. It's a symbol that one nation can dominate the seas. So now I ask you, which of these machines blew your mind the most? Was it the flying fortress, the submarine the size of a city, the rail gun firing lightning, or the tank that looked like a battleship? Tell me in the comments. If you enjoyed this journey through the most insane military technologies and vehicles in the world, make sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more stories that explore the edge of human imagination. Because at the end of the day, these machines remind us of something both inspiring and terrifying. Human creativity knows no limits. And when it comes to war, that creativity builds monsters that can change history forever.